Before I say anything, let me just acknowledge that if you own a PS5, Xbox Series X or S, whatever, and you're satisfied with it, that's great. Genuinely, like, you are doing better than I am. Where do I even start this conversation? Console exclusives are a divisive topic. On one side, you have the gamer who understands that console exclusives are what gives a console an identity. It's what gives your system value, and it should encourage companies to try to one-up each other so that they can have games that the other side doesn't. And on the other side, you have the average person, someone who's not following all this stuff. They just saw the new Spider-Man movie and they want to try the new Spider-Man game. They're in a Spider-Man mood. But they can't because they made the decision to buy an Xbox 4 years ago. From their perspective, this is completely stupid and greedy. The Xbox One could absolutely run Spider-Man PS4, no doubt about it. But keeping it exclusive for the time gave you just one more reason to go out and buy a PlayStation 4 in 2018. This has always been the case throughout every generation of consoles. Do you want Mario or do you want Sonic? Do you want Crash Bandicoot or do you want Zelda? Do you want Kratos or Master Chief or Pikmin? Ideally, exclusive games should encourage competition amongst studios, which just results in better games for the consumer. And games should be the most important factor when it comes to buying or marketing or selling a games console. That should go without saying. Your machine can have the most RAM and the best GPU and CPU and PU, but if it doesn't have games, what is the point? It's an expensive paperweight. If it's not fun, why bother? Thank you, Reggie. The perfect situation is when your shiny new console has fun games that also take advantage of the new hardware to break boundaries, to expand further than was possible before. True 3D games just weren't possible on the Super Nintendo. CDs could hold significantly bigger games than old cartridges, and improvements in graphics cards made high-resolution HD games more achievable across the board. Releasing a system that's just a better version of the one before it works fine. That can sell. But having a noticeable, remarkable leap in technology and in potential really proves the console's worth. Seeing something that'll make the consumer go, wow, I have to get the new thing because there's no way that would be possible on my old thing. A game like The Last of Us just wouldn't have the same effect on the PlayStation 2. That game needed to be on a more powerful system to tell the kind of story that it does to the degree that it does. Games like Red Dead Redemption 2 or God of War 2018 just would not be possible on the PlayStation 3. Does the PlayStation 3 have games with similar mechanics? Absolutely, but the higher fidelity really enhances the stories, the experiences that these games bring. Studios just don't have that kind of luxury in the current generation. The graphical differences have become so minor that it's not going to blow you away. This is stuff that we've seen before. AAA games right now are in desperate need of mechanical gameplay innovations. And yet, all PS5 games that have come out so far are just rehashes of ideas that we've seen for the last, I don't know, 10 to 15 years or more. So here we are today, almost 4 years since the launch of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series line. These systems are far superior to their predecessors on a hardware level. It's not even close. You and I both know this on paper, but where is this new advanced technology used? Where is this definitive PS5 game that really sells the idea of next gen? Every PS5 release so far has been a slightly nicer looking, polished up version of a PS4 game, or it is literally a PS4 game with the most minute differences. In the last 4 years, not a single game has even tried to showcase the potential of these new all-powerful systems. It's crazy. It's like if you bought a top-of-the-line PC with the best specs that money could buy, and you exclusively use it to emulate Atari 2600 games. Why? Come on, man. The Atari 2600 has more games than the PS5. Now, I could just sit here and say, the PS5 has no games, and then you would all go, haha, he said the thing, and I could move on. But no, I think it's better to be honest with ourselves. The PS5 actually does have games, believe it or not. Jarvis, pull up the list of PS5 exclusive games. Okay, it's pretty small, but it's what you do with it that counts. But before we take a closer look, let's do a little bit of cleaning up to just make this list a little clearer. First, let's just remove the games that haven't come out yet. Alright, and now we remove the remakes and remasters. Those are old games, we've seen them before. And I'm going to remove the PSVR games. If you are one of the 3 people who regularly plays PSVR, please let me know and we can argue about it in the comments if you'd like. So we are just about done, but I'd like to remove some games that have reviewed really poorly, just because they're probably not worth your time or money. First we have Destruction All Stars, which is a live service Rocket League inspired PvP game that is described as good for a free game. Except it's no longer free, and the servers are a barren wasteland at this point. Quantum Error is described as a failure on every level, probably not worth your time. And R-Type Final 3 Evolved is a weird one. I don't even know if this game is good or not. I can't find a single review on YouTube that has more than 10,000 views. I'm lying, I found one. I found one review on YouTube that has more than 10,000 views, and that's it. No IGN review, no nothing. Like, who played this game? Like, genuinely, where are the people who played this game? So there we have it. There's your list of PS5 exclusives that might be worth your time. After 4 long years, these are your motivators to get you to go out and buy the ridiculously overpriced PlayStation 5. Or if you already own one, these are meant to justify your purchase. The Sony PlayStation 5 has 6 games. And I am being very generous because one of these games comes pre-installed in your system for free, and the other one is a Silent Hill spin-off that takes less than 2 hours to beat. So, if I'm really being a prick, the PS5 has 4 games, but I'll try not to be, so I'll put them back. And while these 6 games do benefit from being on a more powerful system, it's limited to things like faster loading times, slightly better performance, slightly enhanced background graphics. The games themselves are the same as PS4 games, which were already very similar to PS3 games. There's nothing exciting here. For comparison, the PlayStation 4 came out in November of 2013, and in the 4-year span from then to November 2017, we got Knack, Killzone, Drive Club, Infamous Second Son, Until Dawn, Bloodborne, Ratchet & Clank, The Last Guardian, Uncharted 4, Horizon Zero Dawn, Gravity Rush, Yakuza 0, Neo, Uncharted Lost Legacy, and Gran Turismo Sport. And a lot of those games are considered 10 out of 10 to a lot of people. When I picked out that small list of PS4 exclusive games, I used the exact same criteria that I used to slim down the catalog of PS5 games. And the PS4 itself had a fairly slow start compared to the consoles before it. The PS3 had way more games than the PS4, and the PS2 had even more than that. And just in case that relatively slow and quiet 4-year span of PS4 games wasn't enough, we already had games like Marvel's Spider-Man, God of War, Death Stranding, Ghost of Tsushima. All these games were announced during that time. We had so much to look forward to as PS4 owners. There was so much to be excited about, and this is something we just don't have right now. Genuinely, if you have any first-party PlayStation games that you're excited about, please tell me about them, because I don't know of anything. Genuinely, I think by the end of the generation, the PS5 will be viewed as the GTA 6 machine. I think GTA 6 will boost sales of the new consoles like insanely. I know I'm probably going to get one just so I can play GTA 6. When I was listing off PS5 exclusive games, some of you were probably thinking, what about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart? What about Deathloop? Well, those games have both come to Steam within that 4-year span. And now that I've mentioned that, some other people might be thinking, what about Yakuza 0? What about Neo? What about Horizon Zero Dawn? Uncharted 4? Those games are all on Steam at this point. Well, that was outside of my 4-year period. Unlike Ratchet & Clank, which came to PC so soon after it came out originally as a PS5 exclusive. At this point in time, Sony has normalized the idea of first-party PlayStation games coming to Steam. The question of a Sony game getting a PC release has mostly gone from if to when. Now, this whole PlayStation games coming to Steam is a can of worms on its own, and can be interpreted from many different ways. On one hand, it really harms that idea of exclusivity that we were talking about earlier. Of the remaining PS5 exclusive games, I am almost certain that just about all of them will come to Steam relatively soon. On the other hand, I really do appreciate that these games are now available for more people to play, for more people to get the chance to try them. Not to mention that this greatly contributes to games preservation. Also, modding is really funny. I mean, come on, look at this. This is worth the Steam release on its own. The way that it's currently happening to PS4 games feels like the best way to go about it. These games came out anywhere from 4 to 10 years ago at this point. The new generation of consoles arrived a while ago. These games no longer need to be system sellers. They've served their purpose as exclusives, as system sellers, and I don't think any PS4 owners felt cheated when they see games like Uncharted 4 come to Steam. How I don't think it should happen is for a game to come out as an exclusive at the beginning of a console's life, only for it to get a PC port so soon after. Remember this graph from earlier? It should have gone up here in 2021. There should have been an up spike, but it didn't because Ratchet & Clank came out on PC. Doing this sort of thing in the middle of a console's life can make the people who invested in the console feel cheated. At the end of the day, the average person doesn't really care about what I've been talking about this whole time. I feel as though Sony is banking on a similar strategy that Apple does with the newest iPhone. Is it worth all that money? Not really. Do the features justify its price? Probably not. But people will just buy the new thing to replace the old thing. I had a PS4 back in the day, let me just buy the PS5 now. Like, whether or not it has games or not, I'll just buy the new one. And I've seen some comments where people will express the same concerns that I have, and they'll just get ratioed by someone who calls them broke. You can't afford the PS5, you're sitting with your old ass PS4. I mean, come on, that's pretty funny. It's also kind of lame because the criticisms are true, but it also just helps to remind me that for the average person, as long as their new system can play the newest Call of Duty, can play the newest 2K, Assassin's Creed, FIFA, Football Club, whatever, like, they're fine. They're happy with their console. They don't care if, like, you know, Sony is pushing bounds. As long as it plays those games, that's fine. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, I was about to wrap up my script there, but the night before I finished writing this, Sony unveiled the PlayStation 5 Pro. And wow, the dislikes should tell you all about how that went. There is some serious gall in this presentation. And guess what? I don't even need to make my points. I don't even need to do all the research that I did because Sony proves my points for me. To showcase this brand new cutting edge system, the PS5 Pro, they showed some Spider-Man 2, they showed some Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, sure. But they also showed off Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 7, Hogwarts Legacy, Borderlands 3, and put a large emphasis on The Last of Us 2. Like, that was the main thing they used to show off the new graphical capabilities. The Last of Us Part 2, a game that originally came out on the PlayStation 4, is all they have to show how amazing the new PS5 Pro is that'll run you 700 USD. Are there visible improvements here? Yes, absolutely. But when you have to bring your character to a complete standstill and zoom in on the background to show that, it might as well not even matter. The showcase came out at a perfect time in the middle of me writing this because it really just encapsulates all my issues that I have with the PlayStation 5. Anyways, I'm going to try to wrap it up there for real. This was really difficult to write. I'm not usually this negative in my videos. It was pretty exhausting. I could have talked about the pricing. The pricing is pretty bad across the board. I mean, when I look at the US prices, I'm like, oh, it's only $100 more than the PS4. But as a South African, it is so much money. I'll put up the conversions on screen right now, but I got my PS4 Slim that came with 3 games in 2018 for 5,000 South African rands. The PlayStation 5 today, it costs 14,000 rand, almost triple what the PS4 cost. Forget about the fact that there's no games. That is so much. It comes out to be more than $700 more than the PS5 Pro. Ugh. Anyway, I could have talked about the prices more, and I could have talked about the fact that Nintendo Switch has some shit-ass hardware and has a fuckload of games, and people love that thing. I could have talked about how the Xbox has negative games. Thanks for watching. If you own a PlayStation 5 already and you're happy with it, that's great. If you're not happy with it, I'm sorry. You know, save it for GTA 6. But if you don't have one yet, save your money, please, for fuck's sakes. Yeah, just don't buy an Xbox, please, whatever the fuck you do. Cheers. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
I remember I was conflicted, misusing my influence, abusing my power, full of resentment. Resentment that turned into a deep depression. Found myself screaming in the hotel room.